It has been a few days, and it appears that Streamlabs OBS has changed up its settings a bit, but hopefully this is coming through all the same as it had been previously. Regardless, we are picking up today, Saturday, June 23rd, with us picking up, which I've already said, the redesign and rebuild of the main villainess of my game, which, if I'm lucky, I will have out within the next 2 years. Now, because of Twitch's censorship of sorts, you can see I've got all the current naughty bits laid out to where nothing is seeable. But I can assure you, the anatomy is coming along in certain regards. So, we'll just leave that for there until we get into the actual clothing aspect of it. I am the Blood Saint currently. Still not sure if I'm going to keep with that name, but last time we were here, we put in the body, minus certain parts. Built out more of the leg, which we will probably spend a little more time on tomorrow, because I do want to work on some of this geometry in order to get the ankle a little more fleshed out. I remember the last time we were doing all of this, we were basically just getting everything placed in. But for right now, we're going to work on this arm a bit. Don't know exactly how talkative I'm going to be. I actually just came out of work a few hours ago. We've been on the tired side. Blood Saint has a pet cat, and of course, in the midst of him trying to sleep overnight, said cat decided, yeah, we're not sleeping right now. And he refused to let me sleep till, what, about 2-ish? About 2-ish in the morning? You know what? I don't have to go into there. I can actually do it from here. And we'll have this set for the object so it stays the same. Bada boom, bada bing. Problem solved. Oh, wrong ones. Oh, even though I'm sure you can't, well, I'm hoping you can't hear it, though I kind of wish you could. I am currently listening to the soundtrack for Standalone Complex from Ghost in the Shell Season 1. And I'm sorry, if you do not listen to Japanese anime music, we cannot be friends. We absolutely cannot be friends. You have to listen to Japanese anime music for us to be friends. Because it is just some of the most beautiful music out there if you get a good series. And as soon as I can find it, I plan on getting the Cowboy Bebop series. Because they just had some of the best music. If you want to know what I'm talking about, look up the song Tank. It is bluesy, it is jazzy, and it's from an anime. Just, it's amazing. Love that song. But for right now, we're focusing in on getting the shoulder put in. And per usual, if you happen to have any questions, by all means, feel free to ask. Gotta make sure that when I go into the wireframe, it's only in certain points. Because, as I said, Twitch is yet to make a decision on what they will or won't show in regards to to quote unquote 3D model nudity and what have you. Which I don't understand the entire thing about nudity, especially in an age where the internet is literally connected to everything. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to fix this. That's not quite right. Well, right now we're just sort of Greeking out what we need. God, Yoko Kanno is amazing as a composer. No, I don't want that. Ah! You know, come to think of it, I still never saw Ghost in the Shell Rise. I was told that it wasn't that great of a series, but it's Ghost in the Shell. Great or not, it's Ghost in the Shell. The fact that I haven't seen it is a freaking travesty. It is just a travesty. Okay. Now what we need to do is create some geometry underneath where the fold for the arm is. And after that, let's see what we have in terms of geometry this way. Yep, basically just a blank space. Okay. So we're going to create a little extra geometry hanging down this way. Doing our best to keep the quote-unquote modesty police at bay. 'Cause that's really all it is just Twitch's modesty police. Actually, I'm thinking. Okay, so we need to get to this point. Oh, wrong one. There we go. I'm trying to remember how I need to set this up. Okay. I still remember the first time I watched Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. It wasn't exactly like the movie, and that threw me off at first. The show was amazing. I just couldn't get fully into it because I was expecting to be more like the movie. But when I realized that it was supposed to be more of an action based thing, I just I couldn't get enough of it. I really hated what they did with season 2 though. Like the first one, I liked that the Laughing Man was a continuing theme, but it wasn't a super major focus initially. It was a slow burn where many of the cases kind of led towards it without completely having to revolve around it, which is what I liked about it. Okay, that is connected. You know, it was allowed to sort of grow and evolve to be its own thing. It didn't, it didn't try and force itself into being exactly like the movie. And eventually that won me over. Season 2, I kind of felt it didn't have the same, in my opinion, it didn't have the same heart to it. Like the fact that they tried to make, connect Kuze and the Major's backstories together just really bothered the hell out of me. Like, and don't get me wrong, the voice actors did an amazing job. Like, I believe Kuze was voiced by Kirk Thornton. Awesome voice actor. For anyone who's a fan of God, now I can't even remember it. Anyone who's a fan of Tenjo Tenge, he was Bunshichi. Which, if you happen to know that anime, you are probably one of the few, because I've not met too many people who know about Tenjo Tenge too readily. But Tenjo Tenge, also one that I enjoyed tremendously. I actually own that on DVD. Wonder if they'll ever come out with a Blu-ray of it. I doubt it. They never even finished it in accordance to the actual manga, so I doubt that's going to come out on Blu-ray anytime soon. But yeah, in general, Tenjo Tenge was a pretty good one, but we were talking about Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell, honestly, they should have left it with season 1. Season 2 had some strong moments and it had some good ideas, but in general, it just didn't grab me like the first one did. Like Kuze just was not. Maybe if I were to give it a rewatch, it might, mean a little more to me. But it just did not have the same appeal and feeling of the first series. Which Mary Elizabeth McGlynn is the Major, perfect casting, absolutely perfect casting. I want to say David Pierce was Bato. He was an amazing Bato as well. Again, perfect casting, and I think Mary Elizabeth McGlynn was also the vocal director or the voice director for the series. Just phenomenal. She was absolutely phenomenal. Okay. Is the arm this curved? It is. I should straighten it out a bit more before I start adding any geometry. So, we're going to go and see if we can't straighten this out a bit more. Oh, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. I'm trying to remember. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say I'm drawing a blank on who the Puppet Master's voice act not the Puppet Master's voice actor was. Cause he's one of the big ones. He voiced Orochimaru in Naruto. He voiced several characters in Digimon. Dude was Tom 1 and 2 on Toonami's on Cartoon Network's Toonami. Oh God, Steve Bloom. There we go, Steve Bloom. I don't know why, but whenever I happen to mention Toonami, his name pops back into my head. But yeah, like, well, I know why, because Toonami was awesome, and he is awesome, and everything is just awesome about that entire thing together. Anyway, so, but yeah, Steve Bloom. Yeah, Steve Bloom was just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, and as there we go, as the Puppet Master. I just wish that in all honesty, he could have made another comeback. I just wish he could have come back in the second series, because they tried to enlist him at the end of the first season, which, if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert or whatever, but it's what, freaking a decade plus old. Come on, you if you're into anime, you should see this one. You should have seen this one. Okay. Now we got the arm greeked out. Gonna give it a quick save. And now you're going to be staring at the same thing for a moment, because I got to import the hand. I just need to make sure it's in the folder that I want the hand to be in. So you're going to be looking at that, and I'm just going to sort of sit here and jabber to myself for a minute, because I'm pretty sure it's where I need it to be. I take that back. It is not. So yeah, while I go and pull that, we're just going to sit here and chit-chat for a bit. But yeah, Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, the first one, was just beyond amazing. If you haven't seen it, you need to. From the writing, to the music, to the voice work, just, oh my God, it is just hands down one of the best anime of its age. I'd say best anime currently. It's beyond, literally beyond just a delight to watch. Yoko Kanno has been in rare form when it comes to that one. Okay. Now, years ago, as a way to sort of speed up me working on multiple files at a time, back when I was still planning on doing an actual 3D animation, which, in all honesty, I'll probably turn that into a game when I get better at this sort of thing. Sorry, stretching. I made a couple of things to expedite my workflow. One of which was hands. Another is feet. I also have a file for ears, but that one I really do plan on redoing at some point. Now, you're probably noticing the wrist is way too thick. And you're right, it is. That's why we're going to narrow the wrist up. But first, we're going to move this to there. Pop you up to here. And after that, we're going to go ahead and open up the hand. We'll do the same thing for the wrist. And then we'll basically go and snap the points we need to where they need to be. Come on, there we go. Oh. Looks like I missed a very important one. Which would explain why everything was thrown off. So I was trying to figure out why two were overlapping. There we go. And now we don't have that big bulbousy wrist joint over here. And it's fitted to a hand that it's going to be much easier to work with. So there's that. Now, as you can see, we've got an attached shoulder, an undefined bicep, we've got a elbow joint, and a forearm. Now, the forearm is way too long for itself right now. So we're going to move this down a bit. I'm fighting the urge to just listen to the CD because my God, this is just an amazing CD. And you know what? I'm actually half tempted to just put the CD on, because it'd be a heck of a lot more interesting for you to listen to than my stupid voice. There we go. Yeah, that looks about right. Now, if you're picking up on what I'm picking up on, that wrist is a little too high. So what are we going to do? Simple. We're going to drop this hand down and then drop the wrist with it. Or, a very simple thing we can do There we go. Voix and la. I feel like we should start detailing, but I'm gonna start in on, yeah, I'm gonna start in on the shoulder first, and I'll move over to the elbow. After we got the joints put in a little bit better, then we'll start working on defining musculature. Now for one, we're gonna need to lift the bottom portion up just slightly. We're gonna pull in the rib cage a bit. Alright, that was strange. I'm listening to the album on my computer and it just froze partially. So you know what? Let's go ahead and save this just to be on the safe side, shall we? And remember, kids, if you ever build a computer, use Intel. Because quite frankly, AMD forgot how to make parts that weren't garbage. Well, the Ryzen series might be better than the FX series, but I didn't buy Ryzen because it wasn't out at the time. I bought the FX for a whole hell of a lot of money. So you know what? Screw them. Like legit, the fact that you have to liquid cool the FXs, and even then they still run ridiculously hot, is stupid. With tons of ventilation, depowering it, and with a 240mm liquid cool CPU fan, the 9590 was still buggy as all out. And keep in mind, I depowered it on top of having all of that. And still, did no good. Did very little good. Now, fortunately, I switched over to a different processor. I think it's the 93 something or another. And it's a bit better. But yeah, it still works pretty hot. But it is significantly more manageable. But I shouldn't have to go through all of that for that. I really shouldn't. And you shouldn't. Demand more from your computer parts manufacturers. Because if you don't, they're going to keep selling you crap that's only going to break down, and you got to replace it. Okay. Considering I'm working on this, I should probably explain what it is I'm doing. Essentially, I'm just trying to define out the back of the elbow a bit more. And I could try and play it off as, oh, well, I just got so wrapped up in what I was doing that I just forgot to speak for a couple of minutes. But in reality, I'm actually listening to, like I said, Best of Yoko Kanno from Standalone Complex, the song Get Nine. And I just, I forgot I was online for a moment. Like, when I say I listen to music like this in my car, I've played this while driving down the highway. And not even on my way to an anime convention. To my mother's house. I listen to this stuff not as much as I used to. Because honestly, I've been getting back into rap for the most part. Like, I've never been huge into rap, but I've been getting more into it lately as I get older. But yeah, up until just a couple years ago, oh yeah, I would play this, like albums like this. If I had it, it was getting played. To tell you a little bit about me, I've played the Devil May Cry 4 albums because it was actually a collection set of game music. I played that in my car for about a year and a half, like between the different CDs. Mainly just the first one, because the other two are largely just, slight change ups of the others and slight remixes. Nope, that's not what I wanted. That is the wrong one. Every so often, I'll do an actual smooth just to take a look at how it looks, and then just quit out. Because for the time being, I'm working in Maya LT. I honestly can't say that I won't at some point move into Maya. And if I do, I'm not going to use the low poly version. I'm going to smooth it out. Okay. If you get anything from me today, it's that if you're a fan of anime, if you don't own at least one anime album, you have something wrong with you. You should buy at least one anime album. If for no other reason, then there's actually a ton of songs that usually are just in the background of a lot of shows that are phenomenal in their own right, but don't get the love of like a Rise or a Bomb Ahead, or even I'm trying to remember the most famous one from Naruto. Um, I can't think of the main one, but like the song Go is from a song named Go is from Naruto, and that one was actually extremely popular a long time ago. Alright, let's start fleshing out details of the actual forearm and bicep. We'll work on the bicep first. Now, technically, if I'm remembering anatomy correctly, the actual connection for the bicep comes up through these selected points, and then from there carries on to the front, and then it essentially goes through these points for the back. So while we're working, we're going to try and incorporate design, like design path work to show the musculature essentially. Will I do it perfectly this go around? Don't know. Might not. We'll see. And while I'm still trying to figure out the right format that fits me, I'm thinking, doing a combination of just quiet work and just weird verbal explanations and just weird, unusual categories of dialogue. Might not be a bad idea. Largely because that's kind of how my brain works. Like, yeah, on the one hand, I'm kind of analytical in a lot of regards, but in another, I'm just, in all legitimacy, my brain just goes. And this we're not putting in permanently. This will be coming out not too long from now. It's been getting better. In control. I get up to see the sun all around me. There we go. See, we're doing it. We're getting it done. What is it ugly for? There are just some absolutely beautiful songs on this CD. Trying to think about how I want the back to go in. Well, first let's finish up the front. Okay. Wake up. But speaking of Ghost in the Shell, as much as I would hate to beat a dead horse, I just happen to have a baseball bat. The Hollywood movie that came out. The one you're all fully aware of. If you're a fan of Ghost in the Shell, you're aware of this movie. I went to go see it with a friend of mine who hadn't seen the original movie. He hadn't seen the original movie. He hadn't seen Standalone Complex, the following OVAs after the series was over. Nothing. He had only heard the name and figured, oh, well, I'll go see the movie. Now, not to speak ill of my friend, but this is an individual who, if you happen to be a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, he saw the movie from M. Night Shyamalan and thought the movie was okay. So, not to speak ill of my friend, not the best judge of character in regards to movies. And I know some people will argue, oh, well, you know, The Last Airbender wasn't too terrible. To which I ask those people, what are you smoking? Have you ever seen the original series? The original series was amazing. It had such depth of such depth of intrigue and interest. That movie, they didn't even find out Aang's name until I think it was something like 36 minutes in. Like 36, 38 minutes, some crap like that. One of the first things the show did was Aang introduced himself. They didn't need to ask, "What is your name again?" Oh no, wait, actually, I take that back. Katara did ask what his name was. But that was within a few minutes of the first episode. That wasn't like 8 episodes later. Because in normal human conversation, you generally want to know who you're talking to. It was a bad movie. It was a bad movie. I still criticize my friend to this day. It was a bad movie. You're allowed to like bad movies. Lord knows, I like bad movies. I watch Christian films to laugh at them because they're just terrible movies. And for some odd reason, their interpretation of everyone who's atheist, Muslim, if you're an atheist, you actively hate God because God took someone from you. If you're Muslim, you beat your kids because they like Christianity? Completely forgetting the fact that in terms of the Muslim faith, it's kind of the third book of the Bible series. Old Testament, New Testament, Quran. But why do any research for your Christian movie? It's not like people are looking at it for information. It's all just, hey, we believe we chose the right guy. Show me something that tells me I chose the right guy. That's all a Christian movie usually does, is make me feel better about my choice to do this. Yay, you made me feel better about my choice to do this. This is awesome. 10 out of 10. But, again, he's allowed to like or dislike whatever he wants to. Just like I'm allowed to like or dislike whatever I want to. But I instructed him to go look at the actual Ghost in the Shell series. Because I tried to point out how they tried to take aspects of the Puppet Master, they tried to take aspects of the Laughing Man, which I just realized I earlier called Ghost in the Shell's primary antagonist. Well, we'll say person of interest, really. Person of interest, Puppet Master, when he was actually the Laughing Man, not the Puppet Master. Puppet Master was the AI that gained sentience in the movie, in the original movie. Which, they tried to take aspects of Kuze, the Laughing Man. They tried to take aspects of the Puppet Master and mash them all together, which, why? Like, do you not understand why these were 3 separate things? Like, the Puppet Master was about, asking questions in regards to what is life. Because if you consider, a person inside a robot a human being, why can a machine who understands who and what it is not be considered a human being? Or at least alive? Laughing Man was basically political intrigue in regards to, hey, there's a virus that affects, mechanized people, and we have a cure for it, but there's a conspiracy basically keeping people from being able to get the help with their health that they need. Then you turn around and you have Kuze, who the entire issue with the second series it's basically immigrants are coming into the country, and as a way to sort of scapegoat them, similar to the Nazis and the Jews, they're essentially trying to set up this. I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. They're trying to set up a quote unquote terrorist faction so they can blame them in order to in order for a guy to gain political power. Can't even remember the guy's name. He had apparently his cyber body was ruined and he never got it repaired, and that was essentially how people remembered him, because up until then he had no personality whatsoever. Which, that being the case, I get it. I'm kind of a dull guy. I get that. You want something to help you stand out. But becoming, cyber Hitler, not really the best way to go about it, but whatever. I'd probably just, you know, make cookies for people that were really tasty, you know. Try not to be a douchebag, but again, that's me. You don't have to do what I would do. Probably best that you don't not do what I would do, because then I can't do it. But still, it all comes down to you took aspects of three separate people, three different characters who had no right being put together, because you have not going to be moving the camera for a moment. You have in the movie a situation in which the main character is asking what is life and what is existence. The second, basically trying to bring a cure to people who need a cure for a disease that, ironically enough, only affects people with his similar condition. And even though the cure exists, political, corporate interest is keeping it from getting out to the people. And then the second, basically kind of what we're seeing in America now, and what we saw in Germany back, during the Second World War, where a subjugated class is being treated as the scapegoat to explain away ills for the majority. These are three different things that have nothing to do with each other. So taking all different aspects of the different characters and merging them into one for the live action movie was just beyond dumb. It was so dumb. It was just utterly, utterly dumb. Why would you think that was a good idea? And I don't even want to, look at Hollywood and say, you have bad ideas. But that one was a bad idea. Yeah, let's not do that. Like, it was just ridiculously bad. It was so bad. So bad. And Scarlett Johansson, love Scarlett Johansson. I wish they would give her her own movie in the MCU. I would love to, even if they don't do it as a movie, if they did like a mini series on Netflix, where we get to see her time in Russia, in the orphanage, in the program. I'd be down for that. I'm good for that. I'd watch the hell out of that. I'd prefer if she got a movie, because everyone else got a movie, well, except Hawkeye. But still. And if you don't think, oh, well, the two of them, they can't possibly do a movie to, on their own, then why not explain the backstory on how they came together? Like, or, again, just a show on Netflix explaining where he came from. Maybe he's part of her backstory. Like, just something. Something other than just, she felt bad and wanted to be, closer to Bruce Banner for a bit, which for all the people saying, "Oh, well, I don't see why they would have a romantic relationship when blah de blah." Like, dude, it's not because she wants to sleep with him. He's damaged because of the Hulk. She's damaged because of her past. Everyone else has been, tying off and being able to be people. But the two of them, they can't. Especially when she finds out that she's been working for S.H.I.E.L.D. and S.H.I.E.L.D. was taken over by the bad guys. Which is why she's been working for S.H.I.E.L.D. Because I don't know if you've picked up on the fact that for her, dropping the red in her ledger to, making the red in her ledger black is kind of a big deal. She's basically trying to atone for her sins of espionage and murder while working for the KGB. And she wants to work with the good guys to help rather than hurt. Like it's not that difficult. And if some of these freaking critics would just take 5 minutes, 5 minutes to just look at the shows, look at the movies, understand the character, not just, I don't see why she would want to sleep with him. He doesn't look like the type of person that somebody like Scarlett Johansson want to sleep with. It's like you're not looking deeper into it. In certain aspects, you're looking too deep. In other aspects, you're not looking anywhere near deep enough. Like, not everything has to be, oh well, I just need to sleep with someone because I don't have anyone to do that with. That's not even the point. Point is, you're damaged, I'm damaged. Maybe the two of us can help each other not be damaged. And in my interpretation of Hulk leaving, he realized that for all of her damage, he was also significantly more dangerous. Hence, he left. Because while he in my opinion, while he figured they probably wouldn't be, it wouldn't be bad for them to be able to connect together, not sexually, but in order to explain and be able to use each other to help each other through their situations. If he were to go crazy or go angry, she's done. Because remember, the Hulk already went after her in Avengers 1. Now, would he do it now? No, probably not. But at the same time, Bruce Banner probably doesn't know a whole hell of a lot about the Hulk. Especially when you take into account, like spoiler from Infinity War, after Thanos beats the hell out of him, the Hulk doesn't want to come out. That's kind of a major thing. It's actually extremely important to note that. Okay, why doesn't it want to go around? I don't know. Okay. I need to start working on the forearm. But again, quite frankly, Hollywood made a huge mistake working on Ghost in the Shell. That was not a movie they should have tried to tackle. Because quite frankly, they lost all of the context as to what made that story amazing. And then the reveal, because again, if you haven't seen Ghost in the Shell, the American live action movie, just don't. I'm going to essentially spoil it for you. So if you don't want to hear it, just go. If you don't care, I'll continue. Because it turns out that, it appears that the Major was actually a young Japanese girl who was then cyberized and turned into the Major, who was named Motoko Kusanagi, the Major's true name. So what you're essentially saying is kind of like a reverse Get Out, where the ideal body was an African or African American body, but the ideal brain was a white person's brain, where the ideal body is a white person's body, but the ideal brain is an Asian girl's brain. Which makes no sense. If you just take 10 seconds to think about it, blood shoots out your nose because it doesn't make any sense. It literally makes no sense. It is utter stupidity. Utter stupidity. Just random amounts of dumb, really. Oh, looks like we're just about at the end of the CD. So I will be taking a small break. But yeah. You know what? I think I'll keep going a little bit longer past the music's break. Just because, in all honesty, there's a lot of things about Ghost in the Shell US that don't make any sense and are just plain out stupidity. They're just the dumbest. I hate how sometimes when you're trying to go from certain angles, the freaking camera doesn't know what to do. But yeah, like it makes no sense. And one thing that really confused the hell out of me after they have the whole reveal of, oh, the Major was the brain of a 16-year-old girl. Okay, if memory serves correct, they explain early on that the Major had been, had been in production, I guess, for like about a year. It took them a year to master her production after they put her together. Took about a year. You find out that the attack in which her daughter, Motoko and Kuze were essentially, kidnapped in, that basically happened, let's estimate, year and a half. I want to say about a year and a half from that point. However, when we end up seeing Kuze, he explains how he was an experiment just before her, and then through some weird, random means, they discovered he wasn't compatible, so they then went on to Motoko. Now, let's think about this rationally. Let's estimate this attack happened in a year and a half prior to the actual events. I'm assuming, even if you assume that they already had a cyber body set up, they took out Kuze's brain, put him into the robot, only for it to then come back negative. And then, in less than 6 months, were able to do enough research to get it perfectly done right for the Major. Because there was about a year and a half from the attack to the events of leading into the end of the movie, including a year in which they worked with the Major to perfect her quote-unquote cyber brain. So this all literally comes down to just a few months between Kuze being discarded and Motoko being turned into the Major. Like, think about that for a moment. For something as advanced as putting a human brain in a machine and it functioning perfectly, it took as little as 6 months from the last failure to get it right. Seems a little weird, especially for him to be as jacked up as he was, that they weren't a little closer in capability. Like, that's one massive leap in terms of technological advancement. That is one massive leap. And when I say massive, I mean gargantuan. We're talking a freaking T-Rex size leap in regards to advancement. Because if you've seen the movie, Kuze's messed up. He's jacked up. And I'm sure that wasn't just them beating him. He was jacked up. And for him to just be a student, for him to have just been a kid, like 16, 17, how he was able to connect a bunch of people's cyber brains together to create essentially his own supercomputer. How did a 17-year-old know to do that? And if he was able to download tons of information, how were they not able to find him? You made the thing. Assuming you know it's still out there, which you find out, spoiler alert again, you knew it was out there. You couldn't find him? He's going online. Clearly going online if he's screwing with the police. And it didn't dawn on anyone at Paradigm Dynamics or whatever the hell the evil corporation was that, oh, hey, since he seems to be screwing and toying around with the police trying to get to our, our prized robot, maybe we should spy in on the police, and when we happen to have his IP address, we go over there and pop him in the head. How about we do that? No, it'll be more interesting if we just let things play out randomly. Like, why? You seem to be a smart, evil organization, and yet you're so dumb. You're so dumb. My God, you're so dumb. How did you make a robot this advanced, being this dumb? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. So dumb. Just what? Why? What? Like, it literally confounded me when I was watching it. And I had this weird impression that this movie's going to do something really stupid from this point. And yeah, after that point, it did. Because you find this out, and they send in the tank. And you have the point where, in the original movie, the puppet master is trying to merge its consciousness with the major to create a new being to essentially spread along the internet. And she's essentially having the same question posed to her from Kuze because ex-boyfriend or whatever. And I'm just sitting there. I know this scene. I know this scene from a much better movie. I should be at home watching that movie right now. This scene is terrible. You have completely ruined this scene. And don't get me wrong. Again, not acted terribly. However, they fucked it up. I can't not swear for that. They fucked it up. They fucked up a scene that was pivotal and beautiful. And for no reason other than, fuck it, no one will notice. We have to hit our quotas. We have to hit our marks. We gotta put enough memorable scenes from the original stories into the movie. Because if we don't, then whoever the hell is releasing the movie is going to be mad at us. So we gotta get enough key points that people who watch the original movie can say, I remember that scene from the movie. I remember that one from the show. And that guy's Bato. I remember Bato. Hey kids, you remember Bato? Now he has the Bato eyes. And in the show they look kind of off. But it was a show, a cartoon of sorts, so you could let it go. But in real life, shit looks dumb. Shit looks really dumb. I remember laughing in the theater because the shit looked dumb. The eyes looked way too small. Way too small. They looked ridiculously small for him. I don't know why they thought that would be a good look for a full-grown man. Again, in the anime, and actually I think they did make the eyes bigger. In the anime, it fit and it was fine. In real life, shit don't work. Don't work. Nah. No, no, no. Nuh-uh. It just did not mesh with me. It didn't. Yeah, it was just bad. It was just really, really unforgivably bad. So unforgivably bad. But you know what? I need to go grab another thing of water. We're going to take a small 5 or so minute break, and I'll be right back. And I'm probably going to have more issues with, probably going to have more issues to go over with live action Ghost in the Shell. I'm just getting really upset about it again right now. But we'll potentially deal with that later. As for right now, small break. Okay, I think we are ready to go. I am back. Got my water, got another CD queued up. Let's go ahead and get this going. We are going into Devil May Cry now. The original anime, not the actual game. Which, there should be a CD out there for the first game, shouldn't there? I like the first game, love the third game. Still need to beat the second and fourth games. Though, by what I've been able to tell, a lot of people in the fan base for Devil May Cry basically say it's weird how the series jumped from, went 1, 3, 4. They basically just say the second game never happened. But you know what? You know what did happen? Ghost in the Shell US. And quite frankly, I hate that movie so much. It is so utterly terrible. And if anyone is interested in my thoughts on it, maybe I'll do a separate video going over it. And who knows, maybe I'll realize one day it pissed me off enough to where I have to physically watch it again to review it, to explain how it pissed me off. But quite frankly, let's move on to something a little more interesting. Like what, you may ask? I don't know. Could be me just sitting here for a few minutes. Could possibly be me trying to call somebody on Skype or whatever and see if we can just sort of chit chat for a bit. Yeah, that's not actually what I'm going to do. I'm just going to sit here and work on this. And oh, I love this song on this soundtrack so much. Look up Devil May Cry original soundtrack. Lynch's Mood, Lynch. Oh, I love this song so much. The anime was bog standard, but the soundtrack is so good. Oh god, yes. I think that's about as good as we're going to be able to do with the arm before I go into any real heavy detailing. So yeah, now we're going to pop over to the back. You have. So yeah, we're going to try and work with what we've got, and then we'll expand on it from there. Okay, for the shoulder blade, we need something a little more spaced out. Uh... Okay. Alright, that's not looking too bad. It's not ideal, but it's not terrible, per se. Let's take a look at it this way. Now that's where it looks a little worse. Okay. Alright, that's working a little bit better. And never forget, anytime you need to... Yeah, that works a bit. That's working out. Anything you do can be undone. With enough willpower, perseverance, and foresight, anything you do can be undone. Okay. Before we get too much farther into it, we're gonna need to start making this tail. Now, keep in mind, when I originally created this, she had a cute little dainty tail. And from the last time I worked on it, I said we weren't doing a cute little dainty tail. We were going full on beast. What the? Oh yeah, that's right. We're going full on beast with it. So, this should be coming out. We're going to say right along here. Come to think of it, for her to have a tail that big, it should probably extend out a bit farther than that. Okay. forgot. Okay. That looks like a pretty decent tail base. Actually, maybe we'll extend it up a bit more. Okay. And then basically we're just going to stretch this all the way out to here. The reason we're not going to model it like we have drawn out is actually very simple. If we were to model it out like that, its natural shape would be curved. So to have it move back and forth would limit what it can actually be shaped to look like. But before we go too much further, we're going to get rid of that. Jump to here. Pick this back up. And there we go. Now, we need a very specific length. We want it to be able to go down to the ground without it having to necessarily be, you know, us having to model it all the way down and then have to figure out a way to swing that up. So, we're just going to basically make ourselves a ruler. Oh no, that's good. There we go. Wow, been at this for about an hour and a half. We've gotten a decent amount of stuff done. Like, not gonna lie, we've gotten a decent amount done. And do it at an angle. And then tail should probably be a bit longer. That way it can be sort of a hidden weapon. And now, there you go. Give us an idea on how long the tail should be from this point. Now, it looks pretty long, but keep in mind, the tail will, for the most part, for the first stage, will be hidden underneath a kimono and will be very sparingly seen, as well as very sparingly used, if at all, during the first phase. Second phase, when she's fighting more monstrously, it'll be used mostly for grabs. Which I can think of some pretty monstrous things she can do with that. I'm looking actually quite forward to that. I kind of hope they'll do another Devil May Cry anime. Because again, the first one wasn't terrible, but it was nothing to really write home about. And considering the fact that they're coming out with DMC 5, which I'm not going to lie, I'm actually quite excited about. I'm super glad to see they're finally coming out with another Devil May Cry. But to finally see that's coming out gives me hope that maybe we'll see another DMC anime. Because to be completely honest with you, I think it's time. I personally think it is time that we get another DMC anime. Come on. There we go. Okay. Alright, the ruler has served its point, so we can get rid of that. Yep, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. The tip of the tail should be a little more prehensile, which is why I'm putting in a little more geometry down towards the base, well, down towards the tip, so it can turn a bit easier. Okay. There we go. So, we've got our arm, we've got our leg, we've got our torso. Okay, I think somebody's drilling something outside my apartment, so that's not a good sign. You know what? I'll be right back, Internet. I need to go see what that was. Well, whatever it was, it ain't there now. So, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay. Weird, but not completely unexpected with where I live. Anyway, back to what I was saying. We can probably. Yep, I completely forgot. We need to work on this a bit more. So, here's what we're gonna do. Oh, gonna move back to there. Now we're going to shapely up this rear end a bit. Yeah. And I wouldn't even have that much of a problem if they wanted to, if what they did in Devil May Cry 5 was have some of the characters from the anime show up. I honestly wouldn't be that mad at it. Might not be a bad little callback to the anime. Like, hey, technically, even though this isn't something a lot of people saw, it is considered canon, so if you want to catch up on what's going on, maybe you go out and buy the series. I'm just trying to say. Maybe if you want to know who these people are, you go give us some money. And you'll watch the anime. And if enough people do that, maybe we'll make another one. For Devil May Cry 6. Could be interesting. I'm just trying to say. Okay. That's looking pretty good. Need to see if Full Metal Alchemist or Brotherhood have audio CDs. I think Full Metal Alchemist does. Don't know about Brotherhood, but I would assume it would too. But I need to get if they got. There we go. Gonna add a little more detail into the back here. Okay. We're gonna move this up a bit. Okay. I think I'm thinking it's coming along pretty well. I'm thinking this is coming along pretty dang well. Okay. Got a pretty well defined back. Pretty well defined rear. Got ourselves a tail now. Thinking that's pretty good. Thinking we're doing good. Yeah, I should just go ahead and connect these two already. Then I can make any change I need to make, I can do while it's one solid piece. Oh! Looks like I forgot to make way inside here. So let me go ahead and fix that mistake. That'll free up a little more space for us. Okay. I think we've come a pretty good amount, done a pretty good amount so far. We've come a long way since last week. And we're just a bit under 2 hours. I think that's a pretty good place to call it for the day. Yeah, I think this is a good place to call it for the day. So, once again, I am the one, the only Blood Saint, and for the time being, blessed be.